Merchant Services and co-chair of the Southern California chapter with Diane Driscoll. We're excited to spend this time together today and hope you can pick up a few skills to add to your everyday lives. Before we get started, we'll go over a couple housekeeping items. First, this session will be recorded. All attendees that receive a copy, or all attendees that are registered for the event will receive a copy of the recording via email. It will also be uploaded to the Thought Leadership Center, the TLC, on the Wnet's website. If you have not gotten in there, get on it and check it out. It is awesome. And while you're logged in, drop a note on Social Link. A quick reminder on the survey. There will be a survey there'll be a survey emailed out to you after the event. Please take a few minutes to complete the survey and tell us how fabulous we are. Give us some ideas on some topics that you're interested in hearing about next. The survey will also be kind of auto loaded when you close out of your Zoom meeting today. So that's a perfect opportunity to take care of that. Questions. If you have any questions during the event today, please ask. You can do this by using your chat feature. We'll be monitoring this throughout the session. You can also unmute yourself during the discussion to just kind of hop on in. And last little reminder here, cameras. Go ahead and turn on your cameras. This is a virtual networking event at its finest. So let's turn on those cameras and be as close as we can with new and old friends. Next slide, please. All right, so before we dig in, we're just going to kind of recap some Wnet membership benefits and a little bit of what Wnet means to me. So there are so many benefits to Wnet when you join. It's just easy to feel overwhelmed and just kind of slide into the inactive member role. Believe me, this happened to me. So what I have found is that you really kind of give what you get in the Wnet community. So some of the top membership benefits that are our favorite is, the leadership development webinars. So kind of exactly what you're doing today, right? So we're meeting here virtually. We do have some live events as well, including the Leadership Summit. I believe this year it might be landing sometime in September, so keep your eyes out for that. One of my favorite membership benefits is the mentoring programs. Mentor for a Minute is one of my favorites because it doesn't really take that time commitment that the traditional mentorship program takes. Generally they're the duration of 1 year. With the Mentor for a Minute program, if you are facing a problem today, you can reach out to Wnet and kind of give them a little explanation on what you're facing, what you're working through, and they'll take that, they'll search their Mentor for a Minute database and match you with real women in our community that can help us, give advice on how to handle those situations. So I always love to highlight that one. Very helpful. I've used that personally myself. Tons of different opportunities for volunteering and really kind of getting out there with that exposure through the volunteer opportunities. So many wonderful memberships with Wnet, and you ladies are taking the first step today by getting involved in your local chapters and being here. So thank you so much for that. All right, next slide, please. So just a quick shout out on the Southern California chapter. We are working really hard to build up the Southern California chapter. So definitely reach out if you're interested in joining in on the fun. We were recently awarded the Rising Chapter of the Year in November of 21 at the Career and Leadership Summit in November in your hometown of Atlanta. So that was very exciting. And a quick reminder, you don't have to be tied to your region to join the chapter. So I actually reside in Northern California, but I teamed up with Diane to co-chair the Southern California chapter. So that's one of the positives that have come out of the pandemic, that virtual aspect. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to the Atlanta chapter.
Thank you so much, Amanda. It's a pleasure to be able to team up not only with NoCal, SoCal, but also the book club. I think that it's really exciting to see members come up with new areas where we can collaborate, and the Atlanta chapter is thrilled to be part of it. And for anyone that's interested on the East Coast and wants to get more involved in the Atlanta chapter, feel free to reach out to me, reach out to any of us. It means so much that when people join and you ask them, what do you want to do? What would you like to get out of this? That oftentimes what people say they're looking for, they need, becomes part of our combined mission. So just know that your voice is that strong. So thank you so much, Diane.
Thank you. So Wnet Book Club is one of the community groups that is part of the Wnet membership benefits that you guys have. This group will focus on the personal and professional development and change your mindset through the power of books. We are highlighting a book every other month or a book every 8 weeks within the group and discuss different topics found throughout the book that we're reading on a weekly discussion within Wnet Social Link community group page with a live discussion or networking event similar to what we're doing today with this tri-collaboration at the end of the 8 weeks at this time. The book club community group is a place for all group members to post and engage within the feed and comment section. You got a book idea? Great, post it on the book club page. Or better yet, you want to lead or moderate a book with other members, you can reach out to me, the co-chair, and get this started. The book club is for Wnet members, hosted by Wnet members, and there are opportunities to engage at all levels of your desire and even practice some leadership skills that we gain from the books we're reading. Please join the book club and see what we have been doing for the last 10 months. And stay tuned to the end of this presentation. I will be highlighting the next book that the book club will be going to read in March. And with that, I'm excited to pass it off to Dana Seals.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's see here. Screen over here. Right. Let's see if I can hide all this stuff. All right. So thank you so much for joining me and us with a book that has meant a lot to me. And what's so nice about a lot of these books, this one in particular, is that you can get something out of it, even if you've not read it, or if you've read it and it's been a while, because the summaries of these types of books of wisdom, they can really stay with you, like your favorite sayings or maxims and so on. So I'm really pleased to be able to help share what I got out of the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, Amber Allen Publishing out of San Rafael, California, copyright 1997. It's to the point where these are folks that I follow even on Facebook, and they do post new pieces of wisdom regularly. So let's go ahead and get started here. I titled this "Understanding Comes from Within" because I think this is the core of what we get out of stories like this. So agenda, this is a seminar style, which means welcome to my panel. I'll be kicking off and facilitating different topics, and I welcome, as Amanda said, everybody to have their cameras on and to open up their voices or speak in chat if they prefer to. But if you just jump in there when you hear something relevant, become part of the discussion, because I'm going to learn from you. Others are going to learn from you. I'm just here to kind of kick it off. So this might turn into a discussion at the end as well. And time allowing, would love to be able to do some networking. This group is of a boutique size that I think that the networking is going to be pretty solid, as well as the conversation. Is everybody ready? All right. When you go outside, what do you see when you look out your window, even right now? When you look up at the weather, what do you think? When you hear from a distant family member, possibly someone who's estranged, you haven't heard from in a long time, how does it make you feel inside? When a coworker says they have the latest note on someone or something, how do you feel? How do you react? When your boss wants to see you, what happens to you with your body, with your mind? What happens? Is that a good thing or a bad thing or a neutral thing? So how we're socialized taught many of us how to come up with a social response if we have a gut reaction towards a positive or negative. And sometimes that socialization, it's meant to protect us, make us good adults that fit well into society and then understands our scripts of our world and how to be in most every situation. But sometimes these scripts go a little bit too far for us, and they steal the joy that you see in that child's face and turn us into sometimes way more serious adults than we were planning on being about things that should still have that childlike joy. So what if you could return to the happiness of your early childhood and replace the innocence of childhood with the wisdom that you gain from studying books like the Four Agreements and Understanding from Within? Torch away the old thoughts, the ones that aren't helping you, the ones that might be hurting you, and replace it with a fire that purifies. It doesn't burn, it doesn't hurt. This is in this book, the whole idea of becoming a warrior. It's not this physical thing where you've got armor and you're really strong and you just won the Olympics or something. It's actually being able to manage your own mind and how your own mind responds to situations, where you separate the stimulus and your response to that with some processing, and it's the right kind of processing that puts you in a good place. So, all right, how did we get here? The book calls it domestication. I know that's not a real common term, so I'll just call it socialization, where if you think about how did I end up being the person I am today, where did it start? And you think of all the people who influence your life, your mom, your dad, your peers, your older brothers and sisters, whatever it may be, you're brought into the world not even knowing how to speak. And one of the first words you learn is no. Don't touch that. You don't want to get burned. Don't get in trouble. Again, a lot of that is to help you so that you survive to be the ripe old age of whatever we are and beyond. But some of it, again, goes a little too far, where we're looking at all positive and negative reinforcement. So where our whole world is shaped by that. It's a matter of balancing rewards and fears to where we end up seeking rewards and avoiding any kind of punishment or fear. Again, a lot of this has our species in survival, but it sometimes goes a little too far when it gets into your head about things where it shouldn't be. So when this happens, the socialization is so strong, what you're brought up with do this, don't do that, that your own mind starts taking on sometimes its own sets of roles. You can be a victim of situations that happen, and you can reinforce some of these positive and negative kind of Pavlovian types of responses to things, with even becoming your own judge. And when you judge yourself and criticize yourself, and you're also the victim, that can become a vicious cycle to be carrying those types of roles from within and possibly not even being aware that you might have those. What happens with us, that the author compares the human species being different from any other animal out there, is the fact that in the animal kingdom, that animals only pay for their mistakes once. But the way the human mind works, and you might have seen this, that we pay for our mistakes pretty much every time someone brings them up, or every time we bring them up to ourselves. We relive all of the pain and the sorrow and the shame of doing that. And that's part of this, what I'll call socialization, that we've got our own judge, we're beating ourselves up, that we're not taller, thinner, better looking, that we didn't speak up when we should, that whatever it was that we didn't do, our list of regrets. And that becomes an unhealthy thing that we, again, might not know that we're doing. So I'll just pause real quick. Does any of this sound familiar? at all? Has anyone kind of been through anything like this?
Yes.
Well, darn it. How did that here? So what this simple little book that's really deep, but short but deep, is telling us is up to us whether we create a hell on earth, which sounds a bit like what I was just talking about, which might make us make assumptions about things that aren't to our best happiness, or we can make a heaven on earth. And the choice is up to us, but it really involves being eyes open towards what is possible, because we've been socialized with all of that polar, do this, don't do that, will I get in trouble, that you might miss the roses that you can smell, all the goodness in your own backyard. So this does happen with the hell part on earth if you end up succumbing to self-doubt, lack of self-love, which is a really big topic in our world. Well, you've got to love yourself if you can love anybody else. Not living up to impossible ideals. The judging you might have put you up to impossible ideals that the victim in you is quivering over. And then this is the hardest one to me, having been one of those super work hard kind of people, having only enough energy each day to make it through the day while upholding these agreements with yourself. I remember talking with people in past lives, the weekend's coming, people are excited, they're making plans. And one lady that I worked with said, so what are your plans this weekend? And she said, they're like every weekend, I'm just gonna sleep. I'm so exhausted. All I can do is recharge because there's nothing left. That to me is a form of a living hell. So if any of this sounds familiar, let's break these agreements. No one says we have to be this way just because we've been in that kind of environment where we didn't even know we were doing it. I didn't know when I first started reading just even the blurb of the book that, oh, wow, I had no idea. But for someone like me, I have to have things articulated, or I don't know how to explain them. I have to have the words, and the words help me be able to face issues. And then once you're aware of those issues, then you can face them and replace them. So there are different agreements than what we just talked about that give you that little heaven on earth on the right. So the first one in the book is be impeccable with your word. I don't know if anybody, whether you've read the book or not, if that term means anything to you, or if anything comes to mind when you hear that, be impeccable with your word. So the word impeccable, it comes from the Latin for without and sin. So being impeccable with your word is to speak without sin, because it's as if sin hurts you, and when you hurt yourself, it's like also hurting your higher divine power, God, if you believe in God of any type of religion. So I'm throwing that out there. It comes from being without sin. And the first way we do this is to speak with integrity. Now, integrity is definitionally often considered you do what you say you're going to do. So it's really talking about speaking with truth, not saying things that are false, saying only what you mean. So this means trying to get rid of the white lies, the gray lies, the other lies. It's okay to be silent rather than to say something that goes against your own moral code if you want to speak with integrity and say what you only mean. And then the really, really big ones that I think tie back to trying to get Zen with your life is to not speak against yourself. And this is really, really hard. I have a friend that's always cutting herself down, and I'm glad that at least she says it out loud so that I can hear it to tell her not to do that to herself. Most people just do that inside their head, but you should never say, oh shoot, this is terrible. I just really stink. I don't know what I'm doing. Don't ever talk like that. You might feel that way. You might be in a meeting, but never dress yourself down like that because you're going against yourself. And the funny thing is, if you have insecurities, those are things other people probably know nothing about with you. They have no idea that you might feel that way. But if you start talking other people into it, and they might not be impeccable, they might start treating you like how you treat yourself. And if you don't treat yourself with love and kindness and goodness and the authority that you've gotten for all the years that you have been on this planet, then like who's going to do that besides like your parents who love you? And they're not going to be in all your meetings at work. You're not, that you're having to deal with stuff like that from afar. Those people aren't always going to be there. So speak positively about yourself. And then the other thing, which is the hell on earth, and you would know this if you've been a topic of it, is talking about others that is not impeccable. The book calls it gossip. So, and we've all had it happen to them. I've had it happen to me. You'd have no idea the things people have said about me. When I left college and I left my hometown, the whole hometown came up with I did some crazy stuff in their minds. I mean, it's really crazy. But none of it was true. But to this day, there are people that still talk of me about it because this is the world that they live in. So I don't know if any of this resonates. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. That's a quote straight from the blurb of the book. We're not even on page 2, and that's just straight on the inside cover. Meaning when you speak, you're uplifting yourself, you're uplifting others, and you're also serving as an example to tell other people that might be as concerned as you are about, will I say or do the right thing or the wrong thing, that, you know what, it's okay to join this team. And if nobody else is on it but me, it's okay because I know I'm doing the right thing. So let me stop right there and see if anybody has anything they want to throw out there. I haven't really kept chat open.
Yeah, I was going to say there's some great conversation going on in the chat. So take this moment to hop in, ladies.
I was just going to say the same, Amanda. So Dana, thank you so much for walking through this. And I know you wanted to encourage us to jump in as well.
Yes.
I know for me personally, the speaking against myself is where I just so struggle. And so I was talking in the comments, I recently started journaling, and I started to write to myself in the second person, because it's really hard to talk to somebody else, whether it's the second or third person, in the way that we tend to just automatically come down on ourselves. And it's been really eye-opening. And when I read this book, there were so many parallels to kind of stopping that judgment on yourself and saying, you know what, it's okay. This didn't go the way that I thought it was going to, but tomorrow's a new day. And here's what I learned from that. So I just wanted to share that certainly, we don't want to gossip about others, and it does make you kind of think twice before you even say something that you might not consider to be gossip. But that speaking against yourself, that's where I've all my life have struggled.
Oh, I really appreciate you sharing that, Wendy. And that was bold and brave to put yourself out there, because you're helping other people that might not feel comfortable to speak up, because we're talking about things that show that we're vulnerable humans in this world, and we deserve to take care of ourselves. We deserve to take care of others. And I once had a mentor tell me, when I was going through a difficult career spurt, and I think you probably read this in the Wall Street Journal. It always give me these articles. And one of them said to have a little notebook where every time something really kick-ass happens, where you're like, wow, can you believe you did this? You write that down just in its own little notebook. So any kind of day where you're having a bad day and you're feeling low because you're just tired, or something didn't go right, or just you really slipped on the banana peel, that you can look at that and just see, wow, this is my resume of how I'm also, not the stuff on LinkedIn or on paper, but I did this, I did that. I'm capable of doing good things. And everybody has good days and bad days. And you're going to find all these different agreements kind of wrap around and reinforce and support all these other kinds of themes. So,
right. And just to add on some support to that, it looks like Virginia says, speak to yourself the way that you would to a best friend. I think that's some really good advice, because half of the things we say to each other, or like to ourselves, we would never say to each other. Right. So definitely some good feedback there.
I love it. I'm going to add this to your helping me with my presentation. Thank you. It's our presentation.
Yeah, Dana, I wanted to add one more thing too. And that is, I think feelings carry so much weight, and we forget to, feelings carry so much weight. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Feelings carry so much weight, and we forget to jump to our mind, to our cognitive self. And what we can say is, I'm going to choose to have a cognitive disagreement with myself on this. So pull that out and then let the feelings go and just say, okay, I'm going to go with my brain, this cognitive thought. And so I'm going to disagree with those feelings for right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really good. And I'm like, that is hilarious, but it's so true. It's like, okay, like agree to disagree and move on. Like,
Love that.
that's awesome. Yeah. And then Taylor has some great information here in the chat as well. She says keeping a gratitude journal has been awesome, and adding those victory, and glory files in with it. So she's going to be kind of adding to her gratitude journal. Fabulous.
Hey, Dana, this is Wnet. One of the other things back on your slide where it said, to speak in truth and to speak with integrity, we tend to think that means you have to be agreeable. But I know sometimes as women, especially, speaking with integrity is having the ability to say no or be respectfully disagreeable. But we tend to always want to go to that agreeable side. So speaking in truth and love is actually saying no when you really mean no. And I think a lot of times we'll say yes when we really wanted to say no, or we really wanted to disagree and we pulled back. So that was an epiphany in the way that they said that speaking in truth and love is not always just being agreeable. It's being truthful.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Annette. Yeah, so that's good. And I'll share this too. I'm sorry if you keep seeing me like wander my face off. I'm trying to not block the screen. And then I don't know if when I put this up, can people see chat if I right now, or okay, so the screen's very literal.
Mm-hmm.
Good. So I have had a lot of people in my life say that they'd rather be nice than right, or right than nice. And just is another thing that kind of comes out of all of this. It's not directly in the book, but there's so many times in our worlds where we think things are polar like that. We saw the positive negatives. It's an either or an or. Well, guess what? Most things in life are an and. You just have to be open to it. It's like situations where people want to do the old movie kind of thing where you've got the white hats and the black hats. Nobody you meet is perfectly perfect or evil. Everybody's complex, multifaceted, like an engagement diamond. And when you engage with them, you're engaging with a whole person. So I have had people, sometimes because I try to be nice with people, that they underestimate you and they might think you're weak. And I'll tell you this too, it is far better to be underestimated than overestimated. You never want to switch places with someone that's overestimated, because you don't have any fallback. So very cool. Very cool. I see there's a Hidden Brain podcast talks about how both can exist. I like that. All right. Any other thoughts about the the first of our 4 agreements. This is great dialogue. I love it. Ready for step 2? Be sensitive to the time. So, all right. Okay, so we've got this one down. All right. So don't take anything personally. Any thoughts on just that?
I almost wrote in the chat, too late.
Okay,
Wow.
that was hilarious. You know what? I actually had back when I first joined the industry, I joined as a customer service rep in the call center, and I served 5 years, like it was jail time or something, right? But
Sure.
like,
So you caught everybody when they were at their very best and wanted to call you and tell you how much they loved your company.
Yep. No. But part of the training that I received back at my 19-year-old self, which I have kept it all these years, is Q-tip, right? That's the acronym Q-tip. Quit taking it personally. Because when people call in, or, you know, and really this was kind of like my perspective at that time, but it really can be changed to anybody's current situation. It's like when people call in, they have passion behind them already. It's not Amanda Beam on the line that they're angry with. They're mad because they can't get their transaction to go through or whatever it is, you know? And so that little tiny piece of feedback or training has really stuck with me, and I love sharing that any chance I get. So Q-tip, girl.
I love it. I love it. That is great. And yeah, when you're that young, I know when I was that young, I was a lot more Teflon than I am now. I've let things roll off my back, but I was also a sponge. So when I got advice from others that I respected, it's like what you said, it kind of stays for life. So that's great. That's great. All right. So with don't take anything personally. What is that? Life is personal. We're persons. We're people. How do you not take it personally? And this, I go think back to some of my friends that I wish they would put this book under their pillow. This is the truth. Nothing others do is because of you. I think somehow our egos get wrapped up in things because we're there in the world. We're actors in our own play. That we're the director, the main actor, the victim, the judge, the whatever. We can quit being a victim and a judge. But when other people do stuff, even if it's really crappy, even if they're cutting you off in traffic or just being real jerky, it's really a reflection of their personal dream, as the author calls it. We're all living our own personal dreams, and your mind is a fertile garden. It's going to grow whatever you put into it. It could be a beautiful garden, like a botanical garden, or it could be a total weed fest, messy, dead, post-apocalyptic mess. It depends on what you feed your mind as to what you get out of it. And so if you can walk around and buffer yourself from that emotional contagion of other people that are having a really bad day, and know that just because they're throwing it out there doesn't mean you have to catch it, get it on you, receive it, and spread it. What they're doing is a reflection of their own issues, just like what you do, like being impeccable with your word, is a reflection of your own core values and how you want to perceive the world. You want the heaven on earth. These are some ways to try to create that. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. So I think I pretty much just said that. And so that goes back to, you see a lot of stuff on Facebook and other places, like just be kind. They're projecting an area that shows that they've got some brokenness, that if you can return with kindness, you might be able to turn them around. And I just saw that, Diane, when someone points their finger, you'll get 3 fingers pointing back at them. Yeah, and usually it's the middle finger too and everything. Yeah. So we don't want to keep that going, huh? And then this is the one I'm using bold for the first time, when you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. That's changing that hell on earth thing to a heaven on earth thing. And this one's really, really hard because that's a lot of change right there. And every now and then I'll be in situations where I have to catch myself because I'll start responding to something someone says when we might be having a crisis right in front of our home, and someone's driving by shouting something and the dog's out. Things are crazy, and I have to remind myself, this person has no idea which project just went awry or what's happening. And I have to just remind myself before I start engaging that this person might be judging me, but they have no idea what's going on. So yeah, I love that wave and a smile. And that the way we respond is also about our own reality and dreams. I love it. So anybody have anything else they want to share about agreement number 2? It sounds like I'm surrounded by some pros here, so this is really great.
Hey Dana, it's Crystal. I was just gonna share that this is one of the agreements that I struggle with for people that are closest to me. So I, if we're associates and we're not super close, then I probably will not take anything that you do or say personally. But if we're super close and you're my best friend or family member that I talk to every day, and it's I can sense something is different, I am taking it personally. Okay. Like, why have you not told me what's going on, kind of thing. And I was talking earlier in the chat about journaling and how that's helped me and others since the beginning of the year. And this is primarily why I journal, because it helps me to get out of my head, even though I feel like I'm one of the smartest people on the earth, right? But if I'm able to get it out of my head and onto paper, it allows me to just kind of talk through the problem, like, is it really about you? No, probably.
Right. Well, Crystal, I'm going to add on to that. I do actually think you are definitely one of the smartest people I've ever met. So keep that inner dialogue going. Well done. And then secondly, I also journal, but intermittently, right? And I call it like a data dump, right? So I'm not like in a, regimented, every night before bed, I'm writing down 3 things I'm grateful for, my gratitude journal, which I mean, I try to, but like, I just can't, I don't do it. So I think about them, but when I'm having an extra heavy day, so to speak, and I just have so many things going on inside of my head, I literally will just grab my notebook and just data dump. And I'm not organizing thoughts. I'm just writing them as I'm thinking them. Like, and when I look back, I'm like, oh yeah, I was a hot mess. I'm glad I wrote that down. Like, and it totally helps. So even if you're interested in journaling, it doesn't have to be like a full on commitment and every night, every day, like 30-minute journaling. It's great if you can do that, because I'm sure it would be really helpful. But for me, I just kind of data dump as needed, and it's so amazing.
That's exactly how I journal. That is
Ooh.
exactly, it's like a short story,
Yeah.
like, okay, so this is what happened.
That's awesome.
Love it.
Yeah,
I wanted to interject one more thing too, and that's a friend reminds me that, hey, this really isn't cosmic. It's not going to change the universe. It's probably not going to change the course of your life. So, just let go a little bit. It's not cosmic.
So true.
Okay, good. I love that. So the one I want to get back to Crystal, I see some stuff here from Carrie. So Crystal, the reason that the people that are closest to you, what their opinions are, matter the most to you is because you've let the walls down for them. These other people at whoever at work that acts like they know everything. You can kind of buffer, get the rails set, but when it's your mom, your brother, your best friend, and they say something that you're just like, man, I just, whoa, that hurt. It's really back to, you have to go back to, now, why would they say that? Because it's back to how they think or how they look at their world. So it really isn't as personal as it seems. I know I went through some of the stuff with my own parents, and I looked at it and I love them and they're great, and they're no longer with us, and they meant well and did great things. But a lot of stuff, when I look back now that I've got that 10 months, years, whatever detachment, I realized that's the socialization. They were projecting their worldview on me and trying to get me to be the Pavlovian dog bell ringing. Okay, you're going to be in this lane, and this is the step. It's no longer, don't touch the burner on the stove, it's going to burn you. This is optional stuff that if it doesn't add to your sense of who you are and what makes you happy and gives you that energy to journal when you want, and knowledge to just not journal when you don't need to, then it's not serving you, so you just dump it. So just know the people that are closest to you, they've probably got license to make you feel worse than your worst enemy or someone you don't know at all, and it's just because you let them into their world, your world. But you still have to know that what they're saying is a reflection more of themselves and not so much you. If they're trying to help you, that's great. I'm not a big fan of tough love. I grew up with enough of that. I think you can love people by just being nice to them if they're reachable. I don't know if any of that helps at all. It might not.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I agree 100%. I work actively every time I feel like in my body that I'm taking something personally. I take a step back and I ask myself a few questions, like, is this really a reflection of me? Did I do anything that I can recall? I don't think so. So, like reminding myself who that person is, like maybe it's just a blip. Maybe it's just something happening, all kind of things can contribute to how people are acting and reacting to you, especially if they are close to you,
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Carrie, I didn't know if you wanted to give maybe an example of maybe, even if it's hypothetical, a situation where it sounds like you're getting a bunch of opinion arrows thrown at you, and how to kind of separate the wheat from the chaff. I think she's on mute. Let me see if
She's not able to talk.
oh, shoot. Okay, no worries.
Oh wait, I got it.
There you go.
Sorry, I didn't. I'm just like, where's the unmute button? Once you said my name, I'm like, ooh. Where is that button? No, it's just you get a lot of positive serotonin, dopamine, whatever that, like, so when people like say to you, good job, or something like that. And so I know that I do a lot of things because I want to hear somebody say good job. I want to make somebody happy. And sometimes you need to listen, right? Especially in your workplace, you have to pay attention to, because I do reporting, so you have to pay attention to what people need, and try to give them what they need, and maybe not necessarily what they're asking for, but what they actually need. But I also have to, like, and I'm going to try that. I'm going to try journaling. Like, how do you turn that off? Like, how do you not turn it off, but like listen, and then, like, for example, 3 people on this thing will know, because I message them, like, I'm just like, I don't have time to go to this call today. And I'm just like, I have to make time. If I don't ever make time, I'm never going to go to these calls. So I have to figure out, who am I going to say no to, or you have to wait to make time to do this, right? And it is going to be very hard to hear the no, or the, oh, I have to wait back, but to just not take it personally and just say, there's only so many people working that can do it, and they're just going to have to wait and not take it as my own personal. I could, if I had declined this and done that instead, maybe they could have had their stuff right away. But if you always do that, then you're never going to find time for yourself. So it's just more doing that, you know, journaling or doing those things so I can write it down. I can write down, oh, that made me feel really bad to say no, but getting used to not taking it personally so that I don't have to feel bad about it.
No, okay, I love that you shared that. So here's the funny thing. There's a couple of things here. One is that the book will even share when people say good job, that's a reflection of them. That's still not a reflection of you, even if you did a good job. So what you're seeing when people go, good job, Carrie, that you know that they want to let you know that you're on track, they appreciate you, versus the people that just take stuff and run and say nothing or go, thanks, or, you know, whatever all that stuff is. So just know how people compliment you. It's as related to them as people that might end up giving you a slight. It's all about them. It's good to be tuned into listening to people and giving them what they want. That is how having a long career and a good career works. It's just taking the emotion out of it. And I think this also ties to another topic that I love about intrinsic versus extrinsic value. If you have to base your whole life, generally, this is just generally, on other people and other things, shopping, other things making you happy that are external to you, that's an extrinsic happiness. Anytime you're focused that way, your happiness is dependent on third-party things and not yourself. Anytime your happiness comes from within, where you can tell yourself, you know, I don't care if I hear from anyone today. I know I nailed this report. I did a great job. Self, you're awesome. Just, I know I'm awesome. And to own that, that's intrinsic happiness. You're in control of it. And that can be really powerful to make sure other people having a bad day and throwing their words out at you in a certain way isn't going to hurt. So I don't know if that helps, but thought I'd throw that out there. All right, so any more on taking things personally? Are we getting our armor ready to be warriors? Is someone saying something? Shay Rayburn, I can't hear her and I know she's talking. Jewel, Wendy, I don't know if we can hear her or if you want to try to chat something, if your computer doesn't have audio, or if you get your audio worked out, talk to us. We can always jump back if we're on some other slide.
She's unmuted herself, so I'm not sure. I think it might be something on her end.
Okay, well, shoot. I got it. All right, we'll try to figure that one out for later. So, all right, warrior princesses, let's go. Don't make assumptions. Ha 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 ha. This is tough, but to me, this is the other one about to me, don't take things personally. To me, these two are like an infinity loop of each other, because when you take things personally, you're making assumptions about stuff being about you when it really might not have anything to do with you. So here, this talks about like what Annette had said. Sometimes you're not the most polite person in the room to get the job done and still be a good person. You actually have to have courage to ask questions and express what you really want. I see people, they go into negotiate, and I love negotiation, and people sometimes negotiate themselves down before they even come to the table. They're afraid to say what they want. They're afraid how they're going to be taken. thought of, all these things that we're saying, let that stuff go if it doesn't help you. If you're scared, afraid to do asking these questions and sharing what you really want, then find that as courage and make that your strength and your armor. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstanding, sadness, and drama. There are sitcoms when I grew up, like Three's Company, that would never exist if this rule were in sitcom land. Shakespeare and the coincidences and misunderstandings would never exist. All the drama in the world, whether it's something cute and funny on TV or something tragic, like some of the great writings and plays, often based on misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. So I think that's pretty important to think on. So that's a short agreement, but it comes with a lot. So I don't know if anybody has anything they want to throw out there, or anything that they're trying to deal with to figure out how to get out of this, because like Carrie had said, it doesn't mean that you don't take in what's happening around you. You can't be blind to what's going on. It's just you can't lay the assumption on top of the fact. So this goes back to the logical mind and the emotional mind. Don't let the emotions muddy up the logic that's going on out there. So any thoughts about this, or anything anyone wants to share about how to not make assumptions or struggles with it or questions about it?
I was just going to make the same point that Crystal's writing in the chat. I fully agree that they're very much intertwined, the two agreements, and asking questions is a great way to kind of help get there, and expressing what you really want. I go back to the boundaries again. So yeah, I see they're very much interwoven.
Very good. Anyone else?
Hopefully you can hear me now. This is
Yes,
Janet.
welcome to
Thanks. This is great. And it's Janet Raybon, in case you're wondering about the J.
Thank you, Janet.
And I just want to say this is spot on, because, there are situations that I've been in, and often it can even be with texting, when people don't have the face-to-face opportunity to see what you're saying or how you're coming across. Sometimes people will take things totally different than you intend, or, maybe I do. And it's like, what is this? So it's just spot on to want to communicate as clearly as you can. And I sometimes call it dumbing it down. Can you dumb that down for me?
Well, and that's the thing. So there's another one. Don't even say dumb it down for me. Say, can you explain more clearly? Like, don't even talk it like I'm not as smart as you. You're probably way smarter than them. And this goes back to another.
That's right.
Yeah, good. So this goes back to another thing. You've got many levels of communication. Texting is down there with carrier pitch. You start with in person. I'll call this in person because we're seeing each other's faces where we can. You can read my voice. You can read my inflection. You can read my body language. If I'm leaning in, leaning out. After that, you've got letters, like handwritten letters, where you can see the flow of there's some handwriting there, and you can see how hard are they bearing down on the pen, and are they zesty, are they angry, are they this or that. And then you've got email, and you keep going down to IM and texting. And when you've got people that communicate poorly with text, you realize either this is a topic that we should be using a higher level of communication, it's too complex, or it's this other person. They might be baiting people to have disagreements because they've got that earth on hell drama thing going, and they're comfortable in it because it's what they know. It could be all sorts of different things. So when you get that, you have to kind of consider this might be someone that I'm not texting with, or I need to just get on the, or just say call me or whatnot. So, but it's not you, even if you're like, oh man, what did I do? You did nothing.
And you know,
It's on them.
I think also with
Oh,
all
sorry.
those different. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Janet. Excuse me.
Oh, you're fine. You can go ahead. Thanks.
Okay, I was just going to say, I think one of the things that I've forgotten to do is to set the context for people. And I'll just kind of jump right in there because I think, oh, they're mind readers. I don't really think that, really, but
Right.
in my brain, I think they're mind readers, and I'll just go and just put it out there without setting the context. And then in texting, you don't want a whole bunch of long comments in there. You want it to be short. So you're missing, setting that behind the stage as to why you're feeling this or thinking that.
Right.
So setting the context for what you're trying to arrive at, or
yeah, you want to communicate.
Okay, that's great.
Right. And sometimes I call that setting the stage, right? So it's like we're setting the stage so that everybody kind of starts out at the same place, because many times we'll just fire off an email and we're mid-thought, but we don't take the time to catch everyone else, like the recipient, up to where you're at. So it's definitely important to set the stage, the context, so that they know where you're coming from and then can jump into that question with you.
Exactly.
Great. That's great. And I remember one person that I had worked with at a time once even said this too, and this is hard sometimes, but it was wise, and not everything you said was wise. So you take what works. So this one fellow said, send good news via email, bad news in person on the phone. Something you don't send bad news with an email, because if somebody's already lit up emotionally because they coded all night to get this thing and it's not working or whatever, that you're about to have the office set on fire. But if you're dealing with someone in person, and the humanity is always there at those highest levels, the humanity goes away, and the text world where we've got emojis that everybody throws around. What's that mean? Emojis are not a language. I'm one of those people.
They're not?
No. The kids want to think they are, but a lot of them aren't very good communicators because of it.
Aren't there people who can do entire book reports using emojis only now?
Oh my gosh, I'm going to need a translator for one of those. That's
right.
Great news. So, all right.
So some good stuff in the chat here as well. Virginia says, hey, when she gets a vague communication, she just picks up the phone. And I think that that's a really powerful thing to do, especially in today's age. For whatever reason, like we forget about the power of the voice on the phone. So, we're kind of stuck in our emails and texts and IMs and whatever, which are all wonderful methods of communication, but there is so much power in hearing the voice on the other end of that line. So that's a really great thing to mention here. And then I loved how Annette said she practices or encourages people to practice before having the tough conversations, because that is so important as well.
Very good. All right. Awesome. Let's get to our next and final. Always do your best. Now, this is a tough one, because if we're thinking about earlier on, we're often held up to impossible ideals. We're superwomen or something. We can do it all. And every time the boss picks up the phone, we act like, oh yeah, I'm ready to take one for the team again and again and again. So what is always do your best? I love this one. Your best is going to change from moment to moment. Your best is not when you won the Olympics, or when you're on vacation, or you can't hold those ideals for when we got shut down with COVID, or when you broke your leg, or you're not feeling well, or you're taking care of your whole family and everybody, your husband is out of town or whatnot. Your best varies with how you feel, your circumstances, everything in life is fluid. It's going to be different when you're healthy versus sick. I was recently out for some health stuff. I remember having lunch with Jean on our team, and 2 days later I was in the hospital getting some stuff taken care of, and I had to tell myself, you know what, you're not going to be able to act like you did 2 days ago, 2 days from now. Let yourself heal. So your best is whatever your best is at that time. Listen to your mind. Don't overdo it, because I've had friends that have overdone it, and they end up having health setbacks and stuff. So that stuff's real. And regardless of circumstances, if you simply do your best, you will avoid back to those things that we learned from our socialization by people that just wanted to make sure that when we got to school, we weren't pure animals and that we didn't burn ourselves on the stove when we took it too far. If you just do your best, all the learned self-judgment, self-abuse, and the big one, regret, will just wash away. You're never going to have that, because by God, you're just doing your best. So, oh yes, and thank you. I'm seeing in some of the chat here. Let's see here. Well, I got the chat, the little chat. Bluff, bottom line up front. Clear on what I'm going to communicate. Sick, yes. Annette, sick doesn't necessarily mean I broke my leg. You're not as your energy's not as there if you're stressed out. You have a long day, a lot of difficult conversations, and it's really good. A lot of people, I say, if you're going through that where you're like front lines, it feels like you're at the military work, just getting up and walking away every hour for a couple of minutes to get your mind on a different track will help you kind of refocus and resituate.
Yeah,
Well,
Dana,
how do you know what you're...
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry. I was looking at my phone and not at the screen.
I was just saying that I kind of have this rule with my team, like we don't do Friday evening strategy sessions, right?
You're
Or I
very
don't do
emotionally intelligent for that. People,
that. Or Friday coaching with my team members, because if it's been a long week, there's just your energy level to have a tough conversation or have a strategic conversation is just, I've done it. And then I looked on Monday and said, what in the world was I talking about? Right. It was just too much, so we sort of have that kind of going joke. Friday afternoons, we don't have anything creative or stressful to discuss. We try to save that for Monday mornings. So that emotional health is really critical to being all the best that we can be.
I love that.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful. What were you going to say, Carrie?
No, so that's kind of like, I don't know, it's balance. Once again, it's back to that balance, right? To use my other example, like I work 12 hours a day. I'm going to generate out I'm going to do my best short term, but I'm not going to be able to do my best long term, right? You can do those things short term, you just can't do them long term. And so that's kind of the struggle. Like, so when someone tells me all you do your best, it's very hard to look at it like over the whole year. Like if I do this all the time over the whole year versus like, hey, if I show up, like this is an emergency, if I show up and do it now, like, so that's the struggle. Like with the word always do your best is, I think most people are trying to do their best most of the time, but it's just, what does that mean? And
Yeah,
I'm sitting
right
here wringing my hands because I'm just like that. I agree. Like that's my big struggle. It's like, what is, again, showing up here is having this discussion and making these connections and thinking about work in the way that this meeting is challenging me to think about work. Is that going to help me do my best long term? So it's better to make that decision to be here versus skipping it and doing something short term.
And if I could interject, Carrie, I don't know if this is helpful to you, but I think it needs to be, when we talk about doing our best, it needs to be a holistic perspective.
Mhm.
So that's something I had to learn. And I have struggled with for a very long time. I defined myself by my job and my work. And so I too did the 12-hour and working on weekends, and I burned myself out. And I'm going to hazard a guess that I am probably not the only one on this call that has gone through that. So I think it is taking that pause and saying, you know, what are my priorities? And yes, work is one of them, but what else do I want to make sure that I'm prioritizing in my life? And that will actually enable me to do my best for everyone involved.
Right. And I think like we were kind of pointing on, is your best changes from day to day, right? There's some flexibility there, where as long as you know you're giving all you can, you know, and with that holistic approach, like they're mentioning, it's like, look, if your cat is not doing well, you know, and that's kind of on your mind, your best is going to be different that day. You know what I mean? So it's kind of tough. But I think the biggest thing is giving ourselves grace and understanding kind of, I forget who mentioned it before, but someone said, you know, it's like, talk to yourself like you do your best friend, right? So like, if I know Diane's cat is not feeling well, I'm going to give her a lot more grace, you know? So it's almost like, why wouldn't I do that for myself, you know? And I don't even think Diane has a cat. I'm just using that example because I could see yours in the background. Sorry.
I love that. And I love the word grace. Let's pull it. This thing lets me. Very good. Any other thoughts? This is beautiful. All right. So you put all four of those together, and you've got a plan that's gonna make you that warrior. And don't, again, just because this might all be newer to you or new to you, or you read it, but making it kind of a part of you without changing you. This isn't trying to how would you say, we're not trying to brainwash you or anything. It's just what of this that can help you. If you use it, you're going to be a lot happier. And you're actually going to see lessons in this all around you. I see it all the time with people, and I try not to become a bore with it. But this is solid, and I'm hoping that with Jewel getting all the folks on here, that I can send out a version of this that has everything that you've included in it, because you're really adding to the presentation. When I was in grad school, I had put together a poster that was about this. Everybody had to read a book. There's a suggested book list, and I took this book thinking it's short, I'll fit it in, and it ended up being the longest, slowest read I had because of what I was trying to get out of it. And now I'm reading it again and again, and I've got this background behind me of this thing that I made. It's got a clear background, so that's why it looks weird. But I really thought that was fun because the book's like a window to the world. So I liked the clear. So I didn't know if anybody had any additional thoughts or for discussion or whatnot, or if we want to go right into networking while we've got maybe 10 minutes to spare. You let me know where you'd like to go with it.
I have one quick thing I just wanted to share with everyone because I thought this was really cool. So my husband actually read this book before I did. So when I told him the book we were reading, he said, "Oh, I love that book." And he bought these cards. It's like I don't know if you can see this, but 48 different cards, and each one has a statement. So I've got this one on the top because I've kind of gone through my own transformation over the past 9 months, and then on the back it has more. But if I just, like, this one was enjoy heaven on earth, and it's just a great way that you can pick a card for the day and kind of help you focus. And I didn't know that. I wouldn't have known that was a thing. So I just wanted to let everyone else know that there's this cool, I'm sure there are other things too, but a cool tool out there if you're interested.
Okay, no, that's
so what would if I were to search for those, how would I find them? Sorry to
That's
go
a great
on
question.
on that.
Let me find out and I'll get back to the group because my husband actually taught them. I'll find out.
No, I'm glad you're saying that, because me not being technical today, I've lost, I think, my ability while I'm screen sharing to see everybody's face. So I'm sitting here going, yeah, tell me about these cards, because I can't, I can't see the gallery for whatever reason right now, being a goof off it. But so yeah, that's great. That's great. So all right. Let me stop sharing and then maybe I can see everybody again. Okay, good. So so that's great. Anybody have any other thoughts? Do you want to just go around and introduce ourselves and see how we can stay connected and help each other with whatever we've got going on? Because I'm totally down for that.
I just put the link to Amazon in the chat for anyone who's.
Oh, that's great. Okay, I'm gonna add that to that last page. All right, doggone it. I just went to Amazon. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay, I'll catch that later in a minute. So yeah, so that's my poster behind me with all the stuff. And that's another thing I learned: when you put something behind you, it's going to read backwards. So I'm glad it was in the other thing. So I guess Janet, you want to maybe kick us up and tell us a little bit about you, or anything that you want to know or need or take away from today?
She's muted.
Ah, shoot.
Unmute yourself.
Oh, whoops. Can you hear me now?
Yay, we got you.
Okay, that helps. I'm obviously technically challenged when it comes to mute today, but hopefully that will be a short-term issue. But I am Janet Raven, and I first wanted to say that this has just been fabulous, and I love these things, and I feel like I'm getting to know you all better, so yay. And also, I work at TSYS, a global payments company, and I love it. I've been there this year. It will be 21 years. So that's been a while. And if you were paying attention earlier, I do have a cat. And so my cat did want to make an appearance. Apparently she liked all of what was done here too.
Good.
So,
It's helpful.
right. I actually have 5 pets. So it's a zoo where I live, but somehow we make it work. I have 2 dogs and 3 cats, and they all get along, which is lovely. But I just normal everyday person. I will tell you, I guess you can't see my full size here, and lucky for you, you can't. But I'm a bit of a big girl right now, and so with that, it means that the words fitness and boot camp are scary to me. But just this week, I have been brave enough to try something new. So that's my big thing this week I'm sharing with you is I joined a 6-week Fit Body Boot Camp challenge, and I survived day 1 yesterday, and I'm still eager to go back today. So in 6 weeks, if it doesn't kill me, I'm convinced it's going to make me even stronger. So
You go, girl.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. And I just love people, and if y'all ever need me for anything, just let me know. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's great to hear you doing things to take care of yourself, and you're increasing your comfort zone by trying to do stuff that, I guess they say habits kind of make or break around 13 days. So in about 2 weeks, you're going to be like Iron Women.
That's right. And I'm hoping the physical strength will also be good for all around strength. My mind is going to be so sharp. Look out.
No, it's true. What I noticed when I would work out, even though often I'm counting, my mind goes on 2 different tracks. And part of it, I think endorphins kick in, which naturally tell your body you're not hurting. You can do 100 laps swimming, which I love to do, but my mind's overriding. And then I get to think about things in a way that I never did during the day, where we're constantly barraged. So you'll find your mind going in a couple of really good places to protect your body and also let you process things that you wouldn't otherwise process unless you were like in a dream state, like at night where you're not really quite there. So you're going to get extra good things out of it besides whatever you're looking for health-wise. I think that's great.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
definitely. And I kind of like, I'll add on to that. I definitely have noticed that once your mental health is kind of in order,
Mhm.
everything else just kind of falls into place.
Yeah.
And it's not just a 1 day or 6 week thing, right? It's like an
Right.
everyday, it's kind of like a doctor like practicing, right?
Mhm.
So it's the same thing with this inner dialogue, these, 4 agreements. It all kind of ties together. And I can tell you that from a personal experience because I am on my weight loss journey, but really it's not even a weight loss journey. It's
know.
a lifestyle improvement
Yes.
change, right?
That's
And
it.
I am happy to share, I just made my 72-pound mile marker.
Oh, you're gonna make me
So
cry.
I am so, like, it's just so powerful. Like, I wish I could show you guys, like, I'm getting like goosebumps right now.
I wanna see.
So Janet, you are doing awesome, girl. It's going to be
Thank
so
you.
amazing. It's so amazing. And you know what, like the physical attribute is just kind of like a bonus, whatever, but it's the mental health that
Right.
really will have a positive impact in every aspect of your life.
Well,
So
bless
we're here for you.
I'm
And I already
glad.
sent the LinkedIn invite. Okay. So
Perfect.
connect.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Anyone else want to jump in there? I don't want to put everyone out on the spot like I did Janet.
Well, there's nothing to fear now because, the
Yeah.
worst is behind us.
That is true.
Now that I've gotten it started, it's all easy breezy for the rest of you.
We're in good company.
I like this book. Most of it was, for me, was common sense, but there were some nuggets in there that I'm like, oh, I can enhance what I already know with that. And then to go back on Janet and Amanda's thing, last year I did the 75 Hard Challenge, which is a mental mindset challenge that has the results also show physically. And I did lose 25 pounds then. So I'm going to do it again in May. So we'll see where we go from there.
That's fantastic. Yay. Good job.
Yep. So I really
We
enjoyed
love
it.
y'all anyway.
I enjoyed this conversation. It was so engaging. Thank you, Dana, for putting this together.
It was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed. Taylor, were you gonna share something before we wrap?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I feel thankful that I had the opportunity to come today. I'm Taylor. I don't think I've met anyone, but I'm a project manager at FIS, and I recently joined the leadership team for the Tampa Bay Wnet chapter. So really starting to get involved, and I just feel very inspired after this session. So I had never read the book before and felt like I was taking down notes while I read it, and I was like, okay, I've got some cool inspirational. Yeah, it was nice and short. I have some cool inspirational.
Forever because of how I read. I read slowly. I'm not a fast reader.
If you haven't joined the book club, you can definitely join the book club and go through the reading that we did and add your comments, post. I have all the previous discussions in there. You don't have to be doing it at the same time. So
cool.
If you join in, that's great, and everybody will be able to see that.
Oh, I can do that.
That's good to know, Diane. Yeah, that's good to know that we can add comments.
Mm-hmm. I want you guys to engage in there. It's not just for me to put the assignments in there and have you guys read along. I want you guys to engage and talk and communicate. It's for everybody.
And hopefully we'll have more things like this where it's not just online typing. I really like page 78 or, however things this is the higher level of engagement. It's like we're all in the same room.
Right. I know. I love the virtual aspect of it because, we're all spread out, but yet here we are together on this platform that Wnet has provided for us. So I am so grateful to be a part of this group as well. And I'll just add a little bit of a note. I feel like I'm like hogging the talking space. So I'm going to this might be my last comment. I don't know. No guarantees. But no guarantees. But when the book club first was implemented, I thought, oh my gosh, girl, I'm so busy. Like I cannot even read a book, and I love to read. I just, I'm more of like a Danielle Steele kind of reader, but anyway, so I was like, I can't really commit to it. But then once I've started to see what the book club was doing, I'm like, oh my gosh, wait a minute. Like this is something that I can get into, because it's something that, it's a book that, it's not like we're talking about, a Danielle Steele novel, which I mean, I would totally do, but but it's like these books are made so that we can, utilize them and just kind of like dissect and digest them together so that we can kind of take the most out of the professional and personal development that these types of books have to offer. So I'm super excited to be more involved with the book club. And I'm sorry that it took me a little bit of time to get there, but this is super exciting. This is one of the best dialogues I have ever been in. So I'm definitely with you, Taylor. I'm super glad I got to be involved with this.
Oh, I'm so happy. Carrie, Wendy, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to share or introduce or anything, or Virginia. Just trying to look at I know Crystal and I, we speak up a lot.
Yeah, I'll just do a quick introduction for me too. I'm actually on the other side of Florida, so I'm in the Orlando area, and recently went through my own transformation. As I said, I've been focusing more on the mental side. I've been through the physical fitness. I did Weight Watchers years back, and that was helpful in kind of changing the way I approached life in a physical fashion. But as I said earlier, I had all work and no play made Wendy really dull. And so I had to kind of reconnect with what's important to me. And it's kind of funny because it's finding better balance, and I'm looking behind my head and I can see the Post-its on one side and the photos on the other. The photos are a project that I just spent the last several months doing to tap into my creative side. And I'm finding that it makes me more effective just all around. So hopefully that's helpful. I've been practicing more mindfulness meditation. I mentioned the journaling in the chat, and I've been really focused on consistently practicing every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. So the other thing that I'll quickly mention is I'll be moderating the next book, which is Disrupt Yourself. I feel like it's a really fun topic. Yes. Thank you, Diane. And I've already finished the first couple of chapters and I love it already. And I think just based on the discussion today, I hope, all of you will enjoy it as much as I've started to already. So I'll just quick plug before I pass it to the next.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Virginia, Crystal, I don't know or Carrie, I just want to make sure everybody wants to jump in as a quick chance.
Hi, this is Virginia, and I'll just introduce myself. I'm very new to Wnet, and this has been a thrilling session. So thank you so much for for being here and for letting us newbies join in with you. And I would just throw in a note from the Giving Yourself Grace. And one of the best pieces of wisdom that I received years ago was somebody asked me if I'd ever tried to take a bottle cap off with a toothpick. And I said, no. And they said, can you imagine what would happen? And the toothpick would keep breaking and you wouldn't get the lid off. And she said that there are some things that are impossible. So that is not a failure. And she was reframing thoughts about failure, which are those harsh messages that we tell ourselves. And I thought that was wonderful and thought I'd share that with us.
That's powerful. Virginia, where are you out of?
I'm in Corvallis, Oregon. So I feel like an interloper here with SoCal and Atlanta. So yes, I'm in Oregon and I'm a product manager.
Oh, that's fantastic. Not all of our events are open to everybody. It's just who's running it. So it means nothing that you're not right down the street from anybody but Amanda.
Right, exactly. I was going to say, Virginia, we're basically neighbors. I should be in Southern Oregon, right? I'm in Eureka.
Yes, I kind of like, you greeted me when I joined. So I thank you for that, Amanda. And I went, oh, she's close. Ish.
Oh,
definitely.
But definitely thank you for letting me join you.
You're always welcome.
Welcome.
Did Carrie want to say anything before I end it with our next book?
I was just going to say that I'm also at Global Payments at Heartland. Been in there for 17 years and in payments for 21 years. Been a WNet member on and off, but I will say WNet recently has really upped its game with like this book club with doing things and all the remote ways that the sessions. So I've really been grateful for WNet, especially through the pandemic.
Definitely going to echo that. And Carrie, I saw your note that you want to be involved with the Southern California chapter, and girls say no more. You are totally involved.
And don't forget to leave a testimonial on our survey if you would like to share more about your experience.
Oh, good. That's good to know.
Jewel, did you want to go over the upcoming events before I hit on the next book? In the last 4 minutes? Okay.
I know, I'm so proud of us. We did such a good job, like staying on time. We're doing awesome.
Okay, so I'm gonna go over the next book. The next book club community group will be reading for March, April 2022 is Disrupt Yourself, Putting the Power of Disruption, Innovation, and Work by Whitney Johnson. And as Wendy Sherrock said, she will be moderating this, so I do appreciate it. I get a little break. So kind of overview of the book is, are you a high potential charting your course within the current organization, a leader trying to jumpstart innovative thinking in your company, or are you ready to do something new? Disrupt Yourself explains how you can harness the ever accelerating power of disruptive innovation in your personal life, be it to advance your career or build a company that thrives. By embracing your limitations, focusing on your strengths, and staying flexible and curious along the way. Which will be moderated by Wendy, like I said, who has a passion for igniting new ways of thinking and elevating connections and inspiring amazing employees and customer experience. She is an avid reader and book nerd, and she's read 100 books in 2021. That's my goal. I don't think I've made it past 20 books in a year, so get in there. And then she's excited to lead the next book club, focusing on the Disrupt Yourself. And if you want to add anything to that, Wendy, feel free.
No, I think just what I said earlier, excited to get through this book because I've been already purposely trying to disrupt